What is up on a Thursday night? Thanks for joining me as always. Welcome into the bar. My question to you is, what are you drinking as we get ready for week 7 of the NFL season 2025? I am drinking a Baroque Vienna Lager from Commonwealth Brewing in Virginia Beach. A fantastic beer. First time I had it was actually last Friday night with Kelly, my wife, and a friend, Kyle. First time I had this beer, Vienna Lager, from Commonwealth, a Baroque. It's a 5.6 ABV. I loved it. Took a 6-pack home. It is a fantastic beer. So cheers to all of you as we get ready to break down 5 of the biggest NFL storylines getting ready for week 7. I see a number of you already have jumped in. Charlie with a $10 super chat, making me jealous. Drinking a Zero Gravity Oktoberfest. That is a fantastic beer. Zero Gravity is an awesome brewing company. So thank you, Charlie, for the $10 super chat as we get ready here. Anonymous jumped in. How about this? Hey, all for once not working. Friends and I are drinking Sam Adams Oktoberfest, another great beer, and watching Nick on the TV. I apologized to Anonymous and all of his friends watching this mug on the TV. Marilyn jumps in. She's got a vanilla porter from Breckenridge Brewery. Sounds fantastic. Amy says, low key tonight, white grape bubble water. How about that? White grape bubble water. And Chris Chapman, along with his wife, having a Merlot. Can anyone believe first place talking about the Patriots? We'll get to that. But let's jump in. Story number five. Let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa and his comments. Not great. Not great right now in Miami. The Dolphins are 1-5. They've had back-to-back tough losses at Carolina and then a home game last weekend against the Chargers. You could argue they should have won both of those games, lost both of those games. The only win that Miami has this season is against the Jets, 27-21. How you give up 21 points to the Jets is beyond me. But Miami 1-5, and the big story of the week in Miami was Tua's postgame. After the Chargers loss, Tua had thrown a game-winning touchdown, or which he thought was going to be a game-winning touchdown. He did throw 3 interceptions on Sunday, but anyway, here's what he said in the postgame, quote, I think it starts with the leadership and helping articulate that for the guys, and then what we're expecting out of the guys. We're expecting this. Are we getting that? Are we not getting that? We have guys showing up to players-only meetings late. Guys not showing up to players-only meetings. There's a lot that goes into that. Do we have to make this mandatory? Do we not have to make this mandatory? It's a lot of things of that nature that we've got to get cleaned up, and it starts with little things like that. Now, a lot of people saw these comments. A lot of people heard these comments. Many people were not happy about those comments, especially people in Miami. And the first thing I think of is if you're a quarterback and you're pointing fingers at everybody else, you're doing it wrong. You're not supposed to do that. When you're the quarterback, when you are the franchise, when you are the face of the franchise, you are supposed to be the leader. You are supposed to take accountability. You're supposed to take responsibility. So when you go out there in a post game for a 1-5 team, and you start pointing fingers and saying, well, we've got people showing up late. We've got people not showing up at all. It's not the best thing for your quarterback to do. The quarterback is supposed to take the arrows in the chest. Whether that's fair or not, that's the expectation. And when your quarterback goes out there and starts pointing fingers at everyone else for a 1-5 team, it feels like it's about to go off the rails if it's not already there. Tua Tagovailoa needed to take some accountability, and he needed to make sure he said the right things instead of looking at everybody else in the locker room trying to blame everyone else. It's just not going to work out, especially when you're the quarterback. Now, I do think the comments would have been taken differently if the circumstances were different. If Miami was 4-2 when they lost the game and Tua came out and said, we got to make sure we're taking care of the little things. If Tua was playing excellent football and lighting the NFL on fire, then maybe people would have looked at these comments a little bit differently. But the point is, those are not the circumstances. You've got to deal with the reality. and you're on a 1-5 team, you are, as Joe Namath once famously said, struggling to do much of anything. And you just lost a heartbreaking game against the Chargers, a game that you threw 3 interceptions in, and you just can't go out there and start roasting people. You can't. You can't. I will say at least he apologized. Tua apologized for his comments. But, I have the same questions about Tua that I've had since the beginning of the Tua experience. I don't think he's necessarily great. I think he's a quarterback that needs help around him. He needs a nearly perfect system. He doesn't have any elite tools. He doesn't have an elite arm. He doesn't have elite size. He doesn't have elite athleticism. He can process pretty well. But I've never seen Tua as a franchise quarterback that is going to carry an organization. And I still feel that way to this day. And he is signed to a big, big, big fat contract. So Miami's got to figure out what they're doing because right now it ain't going well. Greg Fields jumps in with a $10 super chat, or $9.99 if you want to be technical about it. Dogfish Head Pumpkin Ale. Not sure if that's one that Kelly likes. I always go to Kelly when it comes to pumpkin beer because she's like the savant. Like Marilyn said, Pats will win on Sunday. A lot of confidence. A lot of confidence in these Patriots. Vin's jumping in. He's saying he's drinking water. All good with the H2O, Vin. Hydrate. Hydrate for the weekend. Get it all loosened up. We'll get to the Patriots in a minute. We will get to the Patriots in a minute. I will tell you, I also host Locked On Patriots. Of course, Patriots fans know that. I literally just got done finishing the latest episode that will be released tomorrow morning. Deep dive preview, Patriots, Titans. Look out for it early tomorrow morning. Story number 4. Speaking of the Patriots, they play the Tennessee Titans on Sunday, and Brian Callahan was fired on Monday from Tennessee. He's the first head coach of this season to be fired. And look, there are plenty of reasons why Brian Callahan was poop canned. Number one, the offense stunk out loud. And you've got the number 1 pick in the draft, Cam Ward. And Tennessee, I think they were getting a little concerned, upper management. We'll talk about the owner in a minute. But I think ownership and upper management were concerned that Brian Callahan was going to ruin Cam Ward. And they said, we can't even let this guy finish the season. We don't want this guy coaching the number 1 pick in the draft, our franchise quarterback. We don't want him coaching Cam Ward for another 9 or 10 weeks. So they get rid of Brian Callahan. Callahan was, again, it was bad. The offense stunk. The in-game strategy was brutal. The details, he was not up on the details. He decided to kick extra points when he should have gone for 2. He decided to go for 2 when he should be kicking extra points. He had no idea that when a player with a football lands on an elbow or a knee or a butt cheek, he had no idea that if that happens, that the player is inbounds. The media actually had to correct him in a postgame a couple of weeks ago and tell him the rule, and he was stubborn, only to come out the next day and apologize to the media. That's embarrassing. Imagine your head coach being told the rules by the media after a loss, even after a win. How bad is that? Can't do it. Can't do it, won't do it, as Mike Singletary once said years ago. So you've got Brian Callahan. He's gone. Ownership in Tennessee is a disaster. Amy Adams Strunk is never in Tennessee. She doesn't live in Tennessee. I believe she lives in Texas. She's nowhere to be found. She never speaks to the media. She never wants to speak to the media. She fires people from, thousands of miles away. She is a disastrous owner. And now she looks at, getting rid of Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel coming to Tennessee this weekend after she fired Mike Vrabel, and ends up firing the guy she replaced Vrabel with. And Mike Vrabel has as many wins this season with the Patriots as Brian Callahan had in his coaching career with the Titans. 4. It's just brutal. And I don't feel good about the Titans organization moving forward with Amy Adams Strunk being the owner. But now the question is, enough of the Brian Callahan stuff. Which head coaches do you think are on the firing line? Which head coaches could you see be gone by the end of this year? Throw them in the comments section. Let me know what you think. I've got 3 names for you. One of them is somebody I've been talking about before the season, and that is Mike McDaniel. Just talked about Miami and how bad it is in Miami right now. They were 8-9 last year, and now you have to seriously question whether or not Miami will get to 7 wins. It seems like that's going to be an uphill battle. So very interesting to see if Mike McDaniel can survive in Miami. Here's something that's crazy, and I've mentioned before that McDaniel, he can't beat good teams. The Dolphins cannot beat good teams. They're allergic. They're allergic to good teams beating them. And so here's a stat for you. Check this out. The Miami Dolphins with Mike McDaniel, they are 1-15 in their last 16 games against winning teams. They've won 1 out of their last 16 games against teams above 500. I mean, that is an indictment on a coach. If you can't beat good teams, you can mollywop bad teams. But if you're going 1-15 against winning teams, you have no chance to make a playoff run. You're done. You're dead in the water. And Mike McDaniel has been incapable of beating good teams for the most part since he took over, but especially the last 16 games. How about Aaron Glenn? I'll throw Aaron Glenn out there. I know he just got hired by the Jets, but the Jets are 0-6. They look like they're lost. And Aaron Glenn got testy with the New York media, who questioned whether or not Justin Fields was going to continue to be the starter, which is hilarious to me. I don't know how you can get upset with the media for them asking whether or not Justin Fields was going to play the next week after he played the way he did last weekend. This is from Saad Yousuf from The Athletic. Glenn was asked after the 13-11 loss whether Fields would remain the starting quarterback. Glenn said, quote, "Come on, man. What kind of question is that?" The reporter defended his position by pointing out that Fields, who completed 9 of 17 passes and took 9 sacks for a net passing performance of -10 yards, did not have a good game. And Glenn said, there are a number of guys that, sometimes this league is like this, and there are guys that have bad games. That doesn't mean you just bench them. Come on, you know better than that. I will mention a day later, Aaron Glenn admitted that Justin Fields took a step back and pretty much apologized to the media. Aaron Glenn is also struggling with in-game decisions. Bill Barnwell from ESPN posted how to make a disastrous fourth quarter or fourth down decision, Jets edition. Make a move at odds with the data. Next Gen Stats had punting on 4th and 1 as a 4.3% win percentage swing against the Jets. And then be indecisive. Jets lined up to go for it. Then they burned a timeout so they could punt. And as Barnwell pointed out, if you're going to punt, the timeout in a close game is worth more than the 5 yards for a delay of game. And then you get fooled by what you've seen. Jets defense, terrible all season. Defense didn't suddenly get great overnight. And, it's one thing to trust your defense if it's the Broncos or a great defense. The Jets immediately gave up the field position in 6 plays. And it's hilarious. You go back and you look at that game, Jets-Broncos, and, Aaron Glenn decides not to go for it on 4th and 1. And what ends up happening is the Jets have to go for it on 4th and 8. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. And if you're the New York Jets, you're probably going to get a top 5 pick. You're probably going to draft a quarterback. You pretty much have to draft a quarterback. Do you trust Aaron Glenn with the next quarterback? One more guy I'll give you on the firing line, Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. And I don't even think it's that much to do about Kevin Stefanski, honestly. This was a guy who was the coach of the year in 2023, but he was 3-14 last season. The Browns are 1-5 this year. I chalk it up to just a disastrous quarterback situation he's had to deal with going back to the Deshaun Watson trade, which was a nightmare. But, Stefanski's in his 6th season. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, do you trust to go for a 7th season with a new quarterback? Because I don't think Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders are going to be the answer. I just don't think it's going to happen. Amy, you are right. The trade deadline is November 4th. So it's 2 weeks from this Tuesday. 2 weeks from this Tuesday. As you hang out on a Thursday night and I drink my Vienna Lager, the Baroque from Commonwealth, in Virginia Beach. Don't forget to do a few things. Hit that thumbs up for us. It helps us out, help a brother out, help a bar out. Don't forget to click that thumbs up and like us. Don't forget to throw comments in. Comments help us with that algorithm crap. And don't forget to subscribe. Help us out as well. So cheers to all of you. Thanks for joining me on this Thursday night, getting ready for story number 3. But before I get to story number 3, I've got a $20 super chat from Anonymous. My buddy says he hates the pumpkin ale, drinking Budweiser. Is he drinking like old school Budweiser? Is he drinking like Bud Red? If so, I appreciate that. It's old school, but I appreciate it. Enjoyed your crossover lockdown today. Thank you. I appreciate it. Of course, I work with Tyler on the Lockdown NFL show on Friday mornings. So I thought that was a pretty good one, too. Thank you for the $20 super chat, Anonymous. I appreciate it. All right, let's get to story number 3. And I'm sure many of you are going to be happy about this. For the first time on Crafts and Kickoffs, we're going to talk about the Patriots. So the Patriots are in first place in the AFC East. And meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills have lost 2 straight games. Let's start with the Patriots. I did not think that they would be here this early in the season. I did not think we'd be talking about the Patriots being in first place of the division after 6 weeks. I'm not going to sit here and throw a parade. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Patriots are going to win the AFC East. I am just genuinely surprised and pleasantly surprised that we are sitting here in the middle of October and the Patriots are in first place. The obvious go-to and the easiest answer here is Drake May has exceeded all expectations. He is playing MVP level type football. And many of you that have followed my content over the past couple of years, you know that I was a fan of Drake May. I loved the pick. I thought he had just tremendous potential if he could continue to develop and grow. And he's doing that. He's doing that at a faster rate than I anticipated. But even me, a fan of Drake May going back to his UNC days, even me, I thought that, if Drake May played good football this year and took those steps, that he would end up being, a top 10 to 12 quarterback by the end of this season. Drake May has been a top, at worst, 6 or 7 quarterback in the league through 6 weeks. I mean, he is part of the conversation along with the Baker Mayfields, the Jared Goffs, the guys that have had great seasons. Drake May is in the MVP conversation. He should be in the MVP conversation. He has been absolutely freaking terrific for the vast majority of this season. And it's amazing because he hasn't had any run game. I mean, he's got a rookie left side of the offensive line. I mean, he has been tremendous. Tremendous. The defense for the Patriots, I would say that they're bending but not breaking. Now, that's kind of a weird thing to say because they have one of the worst red zone defenses in football right now. But they're capable of, only allowing teams to get 20 points or less. And if you keep doing that, you're going to win a lot of games if your offense is worth anything. And with Drake May playing as well as he's playing, with Josh McDaniels back as OC, which is a huge upgrade from what we've seen the past few seasons. I mean, if you look at it, the Raiders scored 20. The Dolphins scored 27, but don't forget the Dolphins scored 27. One of those touchdowns was a punt return. So you could say that the Dolphins offense scored 20 points. So, I mean, the Raiders scored 20. The Dolphins offense scored 20. The Steelers scored 21. The Panthers scored 13. The Bills scored 20. The Saints scored 19. That the Patriots defense has looked ugly at times, but somehow, some way, at the end of the freaking day, you're looking at 20 points or less on the board. And if you can continue to keep teams to 20 points around that mark, and you got a quarterback playing MVP level type football, you're going to win the majority of your games. Terry Grant jumps in. Let's go. Pat's super chat. I appreciate the $50 super chat, Terry, as always, for your generosity and your support. I can't say it enough. I know I sound like a broken record, but we love you, Terry. Thank you so much for your continued support of this podcast and many of the other things that I do, the Patreon channel and all that stuff. I certainly appreciate you. So the defense is, kind of surviving. And I think the defense is getting better. I honestly do. We'll see if Harold Landry plays this weekend, which could be a dent in that. And you have a really good coaching staff, which is what we addressed before the season kicked off. I had a lot of confidence in this coaching staff figuring things out, and they've done that. And shout out to Zach Core, who's been the defensive coordinator, replacing Terrell Williams, of course, going through the prostate cancer. We're all thinking about him. But the staff has been really good. Todd Downing, by the way, is a quiet, great addition as a wide receivers coach. If you see the wide receivers and what they're doing, and you look at the spacing out there, they have proper spacing. They've been professional. They've been productive. And Mike Vrabel's getting buy-in. Again, Mike Vrabel continues to get buy-in. He knows how to relate to players. He knows how to get through to players. Now, there's still plenty of questions about the Patriots. The run game stinks right now. I still have some question about, the linebackers versus the pass, linebackers in coverage. Still have some question about the safeties in coverage. I do think Craig Woodson is improving, which is great news. They still have to figure out their discipline. I mean, they are still one of the most undisciplined teams in the NFL when it comes to flags. Way too many penalties. Got to figure that out. But their schedule is soft. And, I think they should absolutely be able to at least go 6-5 the remainder of the year if they stay healthy, which would give them 10 wins. And I think with 10 wins, I think you get in. Meanwhile, the Bills back-to-back losses, interesting. I think there are some significant questions about Buffalo right now. I still think they're a good team, but their wide receivers leave a lot to be desired. Khalil Shakir, if he's not getting you yards after the catch, he has limited impact. Keon Coleman is a contested catch guy who has not been consistent. Joshua Palmer has not really produced, and then he banged up his knee. So there's not a lot for Josh Allen to throw to. I've also been interested in the James Cook usage. I thought starting with the Patriots game, the Buffalo Bills decided to not run James Cook as much as they had been running him. And then last week, he didn't touch the ball a lot in the first half. And if you look at Buffalo's success early in the season, a lot of that stemmed from James Cook in the run game. Buffalo also has some defensive issues. Matt Milano is always hurt. I don't think the cornerbacks are very good. And safety is a real problem. A real problem. All right, let's get to story number 2. Do not write off the Chiefs. I've been warning everybody. People want to write the Chiefs off because they're tired of the Chiefs, and I get it. But do not write off the Chiefs. They are now 3-3 after winning last week, and Patrick Mahomes has been great. Jordan Schultz tweeted, Mahomes in his last 4 games, he has completed 98 of his 145 pass attempts. He has 1,069 passing yards. He has 11 total touchdowns and only 1 interception. And he's been doing this trying to piece wide receivers together. He's been doing this with Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton. He got Xavier Worthy back a couple weeks ago, but he's been in and out. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes is having one of his best seasons, frankly, given what he's had to work with. And now, not only has Patrick Mahomes been great, but now you've got Rashee Rice coming back. Rashee Rice returns. And if you start to piece this wide receiver puzzle together, the Chiefs look actually pretty good. You've got Tyquan Thornton, who can occasionally take the top off the defense and go vertical. You've got Worthy, who's pretty much kind of like a gadget, super fast wide receiver. You've got Rice as your number 1 guy. You've got a trusted possession type receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster. And then you add Travis Kelce to the mix. You add Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco if they could start running the football a little bit. I mean, you could start seeing the pieces of this offense. And Kansas City's got the Raiders and the Commanders the next 2 weeks. I think they're going to end up being 5-3. So they're right back in good shape. But not everything is perfect. I don't know how many of you have seen this Josh Simmons story. It's very strange. I don't know what to make of it. Their first-round pick, Josh Simmons, left tackle, got off to a great start this year. But, it's been a weird situation around Simmons. Bobby Barack of Outkick kind of tweeted out the events that have happened. So the Chiefs listed Josh Simmons as questionable hours before the game 2 weeks ago. So right before the game, they list Josh Simmons as questionable, and they put illness as the reason. He ends up playing. Okay. Then Mahomes shows up for the game last week and realizes his left tackle isn't there. Mahomes didn't really know his left tackle was not going to be there. Shows up for the game. Simmons is nowhere to be found. A report then comes out saying that some coaches didn't know where he was. Not good. Then the Chiefs announced that Simmons would miss the game last week for quote-unquote personal reasons. Sirius XM initially says that these are quote-unquote family reasons, but some reporters have since indicated that might not be the case. Andy Reid was asked about Simmons, and Reid said multiple times that he won't comment and doesn't know when Simmons will return. Mahomes then comes out and says that he is praying for Simmons. And Andy Reid said that the GM is now handling the matter, indicating the team is considering some kind of roster move. And Josh Simmons did not practice yesterday. He did not practice today. Don't believe he's at the facility. I mean, I hope he's okay. I hope the family's okay, but a very, very strange situation playing out with Josh Simmons, who again got off to a really good start at left tackle in his rookie season. Now, fortunately for the Chiefs, they've got Jalen Moore, who is a solid contingency plan, but they absolutely want Simmons back. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. Drinking a Baroque, a Vienna Lager. What are you drinking? Let me know. Fantastic beer tonight. As we get to story number 1, top games of the week. Here are some interesting games I'm looking for. Week 7, number 1, you've got Eagles at the Vikings. This is a fascinating matchup. I mentioned the Eagles last week. Their offense is just funky and clunky. The offensive line is not the same as it was last year. The running game is nowhere near what it was last season. So, the offensive line is not blocking it up, so to speak. Barkley's struggling. The Eagles' offense is struggling. And it almost feels like the receivers and the skill position players are ready to flip a table over and quit on Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts has been able to somehow, some way win games and get things back on the track with Nick Sirianni. I don't know if that happens this year, but you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. But it is weird in Philly right now. And then in Minnesota, I don't know what the hell's going on with the quarterback. J.J. McCarthy might be back. He might not be back. It sounds like it's likely going to be Carson Wentz. And the more that McCarthy doesn't play, the more difficult it gets to envision him being able to plop in and be fine. So we'll see what Minnesota does at quarterback. That game is in Minnesota. Then you've got the Colts at the Chargers. Interesting game. I think this is a big test for the Chargers defense. Shane Steichen's done a tremendous job. Daniel Jones continues to play good football. Jonathan Taylor has been good. It really starts, though, for the Colts with their offensive line. Their offensive line is really good. And so the Chargers, Khalil Mack still not back yet. A big test for the Chargers defense. Also a sneaky test for the Colts defense. The Colts, playing the way they did last week against Jacoby Brissett. If you missed it, Jacoby Brissett pretty much ripped apart the Indianapolis defense last weekend. I got some questions about the Colts D. I mean, when you allow Jacoby Brissett to do what he did, I've got some questions about your defense. And if you look at the Colts schedule, they've played a number of questionable quarterbacks. So now you're going to face Justin Herbert in L.A., and Indianapolis is 1-1 on the road. Interesting game to me. Giants at the Broncos. So Denver's defense has been mostly terrific after a somewhat rough start. And you've got their pass rush, which is just bananas. Nick Benito is a great pass rusher. So you got that Denver defense going against the Golden Children of New York. I don't know how many of you saw it last Thursday night after the game, but man, oh man, you've got Jackson Dart Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. And Cam Scatterbo and Dart are like, they're becoming legends already after like a couple of games in New York. They got a very tough test in Denver against that defense this weekend. If Scatterbo and Dart play well against this Broncos defense, there will be legitimate reasons why New York is doing, cartwheels and jumping jacks in the streets. I also look at Bo Nix. Bo Nix has not had a great season. There were a lot of expectations on Nix, and he hasn't looked like a guy who is, hey, jump on my back, fellas, or, somebody that you win because of, not win with. He kind of looks like a quarterback that you win with, not because of. And then the final two games I look at is Monday Night Football. We have a good slate on Monday Night Football. Lions at the Bucs should be a lot of fun. Tampa Bay might be the best team in football right now, considering all the injuries they've had. Baker Mayfield has been playing like an MVP. We talked about it last week. Jared Goff has had a good season. The Lions defensive backs are in rough shape. Sounds like Mike Evans might be back on Monday. So the Lions at the Buccaneers after the Lions lost last Sunday night against Kansas City. So the Lions are going to be very motivated going into Tampa to prove a point. That should be a really fun game. And then you've got the nightcap, quote unquote. You've got the Texans at the Seahawks, which is interesting. The Texans are trying to stay relevant. They're trying to stay, within that AFC muck and hoping that they can kind of hold on to dear life and get to the playoffs. So the Texans, they're going to be scratching and clawing with DeMeco Ryans. And Sam Darnold has been great for Seattle. Of course, he was great for Minnesota for most of last year and then fell apart. But Sam Darnold is playing like one of the best quarterbacks in football through 6 weeks. So I really think I'm excited about Monday Night Football. You get the Lions at the Bucs, Texans at the Seahawks. I think you could have two really good games. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell me what you're drinking. The Baroque from Commonwealth, this Vienna Lager, has been fantastic. I appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget, we do this every Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, live on YouTube. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for everybody that watches and listens. Can't say enough. Thanks to all of you. Enjoy your football weekend. We will be back next week. Until then, be well.